Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. Tonight we are recapping the week's nerdy news from Vader's Castle to Castle Grayskull and everywhere in between. My name is Mike Gibson. With me as always, Steve Haller. What's up, Steve?
Not a lot, judging by the rundown. I think we've
Really
done that
not
for
a
2
lot.
weeks in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, we say this a lot, and then we end up babbling about whatever. But, yeah, another light week on the general comic news. I think we might be in that lull before the big cons almost. Like we've got
That's
a
what I
couple
was
of
thinking too.
couple of show drops coming up here. Like by the next time we see our heroes, you will be listening to a reaction to the first 2 episodes of The Acolyte. So that's a thing.
Sure is a thing.
And I would assume Mr. Gibson will be at least dabbling in the Whovian end of things, since that's also dropping this week.
I have not watched any of the new Doctor Who's yet.
I thought this
I would love to.
coming out this week, wasn't it?
I think there's been a couple episodes so far.
Okay.
From what I know. I thought. Maybe I'm wrong. But I feel like it had already started.
I know they had done the pre-stuff with him, right?
I know they did. He got a Christmas special, but then I think there's been a couple episodes. Cause I just saw people reacting to it online. Maybe I was misinterpreting what they were saying, but
got you.
I wasn't trying to find any spoilers because I hadn't yet. But yeah, no, I would love to. My wife and I have been for me it's a rewatch. For her it's the first time watching Legion, the FX series, which is the greatest X-Men adaptation of all time. Maybe
it's
live action.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
I was gonna say there's the caveat, because I was like, oh shit. Now going between that and 97, like what?
Hard to compare those two.
There, yeah.
But when it comes to live action, no question.
Yeah, if anyone out there has not seen Legion,
man,
it is, even if you couldn't give two flying shits about anything X-Men.
Yeah, even calling it an X-Men show is doing it like a disservice almost, because it puts an expectation in somebody's head, and it's really not that at all. It's barely an X-Men show.
It happens to utilize some characters that were defined and developed within the X-Men universe.
Yes, and ideas like the idea of mutants being a thing,
right,
and humans not being okay with mutants being a thing,
right. I mean, Shadow King is literally the only prevalent. Yeah, David Haller, Legion, sure, but the amount that he got through the comics compared to most of any other iteration of X-Men.
Right. Yeah. Wolverine is not in this show.
No.
Cyclops, Jean Grey, Storm, they're not in this show. It's not that kind of thing.
Right.
It's not a let's all put on our costumes and go fight bad guys show. It's incredible though. Visually spectacular. And
mentally it is a complete, for lack of a better description, here's one of our uses, but it is a mind fuck. There is no other way to describe it.
Yeah, there will be times when you're not sure what's happening, or if you're looking at reality or not.
Yeah, it's
wild.
It's unique, and is that Noah Hawley did that?
Yep.
So
it's like some things they will explain outright, but a lot of things they will just trust you to figure out using visual cues or something like that. And if you're not a visual learner, if you're not able to connect the dots, or if you're going to be on your phone while you're watching it, you're not gonna get it for sure.
Definitely Hawley channeling his inner David Lynch on the weird scale.
This is the way I describe it to people that haven't seen it. And I say it's as if Wes Anderson and David Lynch made an X-Men show together.
Yeah, 100%.
It's super highly stylized, the way an Wes Anderson film is, like the colors and all the outfits that people are wearing, and even some of the music choices are very seem like Wes Anderson-y to me. But then the weird, creepy visual style and jumping back and forth in time sometimes, or along non-linear storytelling is very David Lynchy.
And then Jermaine Clement shows up and things.
Dude, I forgot that he was in the show.
So did I when I
rewatched. When they showed him, I was like, I forgot about this guy.
Yep.
And my wife's like, well, he's clearly important because you just lost your mind when he showed up. And I was like, I honestly don't remember how important he is, but
right.
I remember that he's in it.
Yeah, it's like, it's the fact that you remembered Jermaine Clement was in it,
Yeah.
not like his character or anything.
Yeah.
And it threw me off seeing
so cool.
without glasses. I was like, huh?
Yeah, it took my wife a minute to recognize him. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I haven't watched any new Doctor Who. I do plan on watching The Acolyte at some point. This might be the first Star Wars show, first live action Star Wars anything.
Yeah.
That my entire family watches together, because my son really wants to see it, and he's has started watching some PG-13 stuff.
Okay.
And like, it's not going to be bloody or anything, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like this is the kind of Star Wars PG-13 is the kind of PG-13 he can handle, especially no shade, but especially Disney Plus Star Wars.
Right.
I think he can handle. So I'm excited. That's really exciting for me. Like, we're gonna sit down as a family and watch a Star Wars thing, and none of us know what's gonna happen. Then we can all talk about it. Like, that's awesome. That's gonna be great. I'm very excited about it. And speaking of The Acolyte, we're gonna talk about that a little bit.
We are.
Right now. But first, we should remind you that we do have a Patreon that you should subscribe to, and kick us a few dollars a month, and get some bonus stuff like pre-roll, maybe post-roll. I honestly don't remember what we have up on the Patreon, but it's good. And if you want something from us that we can give you via the Patreon, let us know. You can let us know by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and if you do so, we'll read it on the air.
Yeah.
And if you leave us a 5-star review and a recipe, we'll make that recipe and we'll eat it on the air.
That is still out there. Nobody has fulfilled the promise.
A promise we keep making, and we will deliver on.
Yeah.
Should somebody give us a recipe within a 5-star review.
100%.
We're waiting on you. We're waiting on you, folks.
Where you at? Since you're done with the spiel, the Patreon is, I believe, includes access to channels in the Discord, because the Discord is effectively, or will effectively be, an open platform with some Patreon locked channels. More to come on that, possibly in conjunction with our good friends at Funkytown Comics and Vinyl.
That's right.
Sponsors of this wonderful podcast, as well as your favorite local Syracuse. I was going to say watering hole. It is not a watering hole because Mike went to take a drink as soon as I said that. It is your favorite local comic shop.
I think I mentioned this last week, but it would be great if it was a watering hole.
It would be.
They could get like a license. That would be great. I would be there way more than I already am, and I'm already there quite a bit.
Right. They've got that, like, the new comic, like, corner. They could, like, hone that out and make it a little speakeasy bar. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It would be great.
Or just kick Jeff out of his office.
Yeah.
He won't mind. It's fine.
No.
Also, if you pledge, I believe, $5 or $10 a month, there is the opportunity to hear Mike and I do effectively a riff tracks, or MST3K interpretation of a movie live review. So
I mean, a commentary, a film commentary, and yes, can't say that there won't be jokes, but I can't guarantee anything hilarious as a Mystery Science.
Oh, hell no.
Episode,
ain't no chance of that.
Yeah.
The hilarity may be from how bad it is in lieu.
It'll mostly probably us just going, oh, this part's cool.
Right.
Remember this part?
I remember
this part's
this.
Cool.
Yep. That sounds about right.
But it will be fun, kind of like you're watching it with your friends.
Yeah.
Speaking of watching movies, and speaking of X-Men stuff,
okay.
I'm comfortable tangenting a lot up top because we don't have a ton of meat this episode.
You realize we're tangenting a ton before we get to the Star Wars stuff that we inherently will tangent the shit out of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I do.
Just throw it out there.
I have begun my rewatching of the X-Men films in preparation for Deadpool and Wolverine. I've gotten to the first 4, and I gotta say, Steve, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? You were like, "Hey, that X-Men Origins Wolverine needs a reappraisal." No, it doesn't. It's real bad. Sorry. Real bad. X-Men: The Last Stand is also very bad.
Yeah,
very, very bad. but they're bad in different ways. I was trying to figure out why they're both really bad, but they're like different bad. And I was trying to define that in some way. And I think what it is that the director of X-Men The Last Stand, Brett Ratner, who's a human piece of garbage.
Yes.
Is trying to Bryan Singer, who directed the first 2 X-Men movies, also a human piece of garbage. So let's get that out of the way. I'm staunchly opposed to both those people. But
yeah,
I believe Bryan Singer...
They really shit the bed on grabbing those guys, didn't they?
They really did. However, human piece of garbage aspects aside, I believe Bryan Singer is a more capable director in general than Brett Ratner. So X-Men The Last Stand is Brett Ratner trying to recapture the filmmaking style or whatever that was established. He's like trying to close a trilogy using somebody else's ingredients, and he's wildly mishandling them. Like he doesn't know he doesn't know how to use the ingredients in the same way that Bryan Singer or whoever, the writers and the creative team behind those first 2 movies. I don't want to give all the credit to Singer because, again, human piece of garbage. But he's trying to use the ingredients in the same way, and he's just whiffing left and right, just like not nailing anything down. So it's more of like a letdown and also a bad movie. X-Men Origins Wolverine is just like poorly written and conceived, and like the focus being so much on Wolverine. I like the X-Men, I like the ensemble pieces, and that's really when they were like, okay, these movies now are about this one guy.
Well, now if
he's
you're
the center of it,
if you're watching through, at some point you will also get to the Wolverine, which is
much better.
I was going to say I stand by the fact that is actually a good movie.
I agree.
It is not.
I agree.
We're not winning any awards here, but it's a functional beginning, middle, end, not everywhere all at once. Like, yes, do the effects not hold up in any way, shape, or form? No, but like the story and effectively following the Miller 82 run, like there's a thing there.
Yeah, though I'm excited to revisit that, and I think that movie got a bad rap because of the reaction to Origins being so bad. And speaking of effects, there's a scene in Origins where he like is looking at his claws for the first time, and they just look straight up like Looney Tunes animation.
Is that
claws.
the one in the bathroom scene where he slices where he slices the sink in half?
Right, which is funny. Like there's some good ideas and there's some like fun stuff in that movie, but it's honest. That movie is like a paper thin plot that is only structured in order to introduce as many other characters as possible and then get him to this ending. And the ending is so abysmal.
Right.
And then
they took whatever, like Ryan Reynolds has proven he was the perfect Deadpool actor. And what they did to him in that movie was just a travesty.
It really was. And like, they make fun of it so hard in those 2 Deadpool movies that I was like, it's not going to be as bad as that. And I'm like, oh no, this is really bad. It's really, really bad.
Right.
It's real bad. So anyway, that's where I am. And now I watched them in pretty quick succession, but also I have to say the first 2 still very good.
Yeah.
First 2 were great. And like, honestly, I used to think X2 was like an incredible like cinematic masterpiece. I don't think that anymore, but it's still a very good movie, and it's a great sequel to the first X-Men movie, and the first X-Men movie is very good also.
I feel
those
like
2 movies,
when our interpretation of X2 as the height of superhuman cinema, I feel like that was also a function of when we were making that assessment. Like the last time 100%. I saw that movie was 10 years ago. We're like Iron Man into the MCU at that point. Like,
right.
I mean, that was more than 10 years ago, but you get my point. Like,
I know what you mean.
The bar was very different as to what was being made.
For sure.
And it's like, holy shit, there's an X-Men movie that doesn't suck. This is
and
great.
I mean, it's not bad at all. It's like very good. It's a great sequel.
Those first 2 movies, I would 100% rewatch.
Yeah, honestly, the first one held up for me more than I expected it to. I was like, whoa, this is still great. It's still really working.
Probably 2 weeks ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's so smart to start with Rogue, and then like slowly then she meets Wolverine, and then you meet it's like kind of a slow roll it out. But like the way that it's like a mystery almost in the beginning. Like you don't know what's happening to her. You don't know who this weird guy is with the claws. Like
and then
the way
Creed
they set it up
shows
is
up,
really good.
and then like
Yeah.
Victor Creed shows up, and then Cyclops and Storm show up out of nowhere, and you're like, okay.
It does dip right after that, by the way, when
100%.
it's just like a whole scene of Professor X just like talking exposition for like 5 minutes. And you're like, wow, okay. Come on.
We pumped the brakes a little too much here, folks.
Yeah.
But
after all, like sorry, you had.
I was gonna say for the only qualm that I have with that movie is what they did with, you know, some of the characters as far as like Rogue, Iceman, etc. But for how they were using them and what they used for characters, I thought they did a very good job with it. Like in my brain, that's not Rogue, but that character fits perfectly in how they use that character.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I also think that it does, like, it did change a lot of characters, but it also does understand the X-Men in general. And it centers it around Professor X and Magneto in a way that, if you think about it, is pretty surprising for a movie that came out in 1999, 2000. Like, I could easily see like a studio executive being like, we can't center this movie around the relationship of these two old guys. We need to like shove them to the background and focus on these younger kids. That's what's going to draw the audience, you know, but they stuck to it and it's great. All the better for it. So anyway, so I had to slog through 2 movies that sucked, but now I'm excited to dive back in at some point this week and hit first class. Yeah. Cause that's a good one.
Yep.
That I remember, as far as I remember.
That again, same thing. The first 2 for that, like that and Days of Future Past, were phenomenal.
Yeah, Days of Future Past is one that I am wondering if it's going to stand up.
That's true. I haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah, I'm wondering about it. But like the oversaturation of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, you know, which I was mentioning, kind of started with like that solo movie.
Yeah.
Watching X-Men and X2, like it reminds you like, oh yeah, no, that's why we love him as Wolverine. He's legitimately great.
Yeah.
He's like, you know, he's not he's up front in those movies, but it's still an ensemble piece. But it's not like, now I'm a badass action hero, you know, like I don't know. It's a different tone. And it's the right tone.
You'll get there eventually, but Brian mentioned New Mutants is underrated. I do also agree with that sentiment. It is not a good movie, but it is not the hot garbage that people consider it.
I don't think it's hot garbage. I'm excited to revisit that one as well. I do plan on including that one in my rewatch. So nice. I will get there. At some point. That's an
asterisk on Dark Phoenix. That is just hot garbage.
I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to bring myself.
You're going to have to, man.
Watch that one. Yeah, I probably do.
You got to commit to it.
Real quick, I also got out to see Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes this week, and it was very good. It was very good.
I've now jumped on the ape train.
I know you have.
Those first 2 are. No, I got the first 2.
Oh, you watched Rise and Dawn?
Yeah. Those are
good, right?
Bangers. Like
bangers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dawn was just like I didn't know what to expect going into it.
Yeah.
And I think I texted you as soon as I started. I was like, Gary Oldman's in this movie.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize you were watching it when you texted me that. I thought you were just like looking it up. Yeah.
Well, I had started it before work that day.
Oh, okay.
I do that.
Yeah, I had the same reaction. I was like,
the ass crack of dawn, and like nobody else is up in my house, so I'm just like, all right, let's play Planet of the Apes, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know he was in that either until I saw him. I was like, oh, look at that, Gary Oldman. Now it's gonna be good.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, great. So yeah, Kingdom was good. It was a weird because it takes place in the future, from that trilogy, the Caesar trilogy there.
Yeah.
So, it's like it's like starting a new thing, you know. So it's like a new entry. So I didn't feel as connected to it as I would if it was like a continuation of that Caesar trilogy or whatever. But it was still very good. FX out of this world good. I'm gonna try to sneak out and see. I say sneak out like I'm not allowed to leave the house. I'm going to try to see Furiosa at some time this week as well, too, because
I've heard good things about it.
I'm hearing good things about that. Yeah, for sure. Anyway, it's been a long time. I feel like we should
hit me as much as
same.
I thought it was very good, but like the number of awards and everything it won, I'm like, I don't know if it was that good.
I've heard that Furiosa makes Fury Road a better movie.
Okay. Okay.
And some people think Fury Road is a perfect 5-star masterpiece. So I don't know, but I would like to see it. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I feel like we should probably get into proper stuff since we've been talking for a little bit of time, and our fans, all our legions of fans.
No, we already talked about Legion.
Oh, okay, yeah. Then we should just end it.
We're done. See you guys.
Star Wars.
Bye, Brian.
Star Wars, the aforementioned Acolyte series premiering Tuesday. 2-episode premiere, June 4th. The Acolyte. There's a piece in the New York Times about the show and about Leslie Headland, the head writer and showrunner of the series. Leslie Headland also did the Russian Doll series for Netflix. One of the things that was said apparently after seeing initial drafts from Headland on the series, Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy said to her, "You've written a great Star Wars show. Now go write a Leslie Headland show." Meaning she wanted to like make it more personal, make it more feel like her style and not just like a generic Star Wars show, like give it her own twist. And about that, making it a personal show, Leslie Headland had this to say. She said, "I have a very strained relationship with my youngest sister. And I feel like one of the reasons it is strained is that we both see each other as the bad guy. And if I was going to tell a story about bad guys, it seemed to me that the place to start should be a familial relationship where one person is adamantly convinced of her correctness and the other person is also adamantly convinced of her correctness." So I think that's a cool and cryptic way to say something about the show without saying anything about the show. Yeah. Also very open of her to admit that she has a very strained relationship with her younger sister. I feel like you don't hear people saying stuff like that in interviews that are going to be in the New York Times too often. But good for her. And I feel like that's the kind of relationship that is a personal relationship to her that can be put into a property like Star Wars and really kind of like work.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I really enjoy that Kennedy, if that's an accurate quote, that's what they're going for with this show, and it's hopefully shows moving forward of like, don't just make the generic Star Wars show, make the Andor that's a Tony Gilroy show that happens to be set in Star Wars.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make the good show, and then make it work in the universe.
Yes, absolutely agree.
Yeah.
She went on to say she had a couple things to say about getting the actual job. She said, "I essentially cold called Lucasfilm, and after a lot of conversations, found myself pitching a show, utterly elated, my ultimate career goal, the culmination of my fandom." She's clearly a very big Star Wars fan. And she says, "At the same time, I would be lying if I said I wasn't scared. There is so much pressure. It's extreme. I've never done anything this big before. I had never done anything before." So, it's cool. Like I mean, I guess the first time this happened was with J.J. Abrams, where we had a fan of Star Wars making Star Wars for the first time, because it only had ever been Lucas or under his supervision.
Yeah.
If not him directly. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, I grew up on Star Wars and I get to make a Star Wars, and same with Rian Johnson. He's a big Star Wars guy too. So, it's cool. I think more often than not, that bodes well for a series. I think if someone comes in loving it and respecting it. But also, I remember Leslie Headland saying early on that she wanted writers in her writer's room that did not like Star Wars or had never seen in Star Wars.
Right.
Which I also think is very smart of her.
More to come on that at some point.
Yeah. That's funny. So I think it's very smart of her to kind of like counteract like her, like she recognizes that she's such a big fan that there might be things that she doesn't see or thinks are a good idea, but isn't logical or whatever. And that's also where Star Wars can trip up sometimes, I think. It gets too much in the weeds.
Filoni has trouble with that.
He has. Yeah. I think
I often
been bad about it recently.
Yes. I love just about everything he's done, but he's 100% not without fault. Like there's been plenty of points where you're just like, you're a little too close to this.
Yeah.
So
he gets accused of that all the time, being too close to his own characters and loving his own characters too much. But like, what writer doesn't love their own characters? Like, what are you What do you expect?
Right. Outside
I don't
of
know.
like George R.R. Martin, there's nobody that is going to just arbitrarily kill off everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I keep getting more and more excited about this show.
I really am too. Yeah.
Like, even, you know, everybody's mentioning, you know, Carrie Ann Moss and what we've seen in the trailers. Did you notice we saw a light whip in the last trailer?
Yeah. Sure did.
Vernestra Rowe, who's the Jedi that is wielding said light whip, has had a big part in a lot of the High Republic stuff. So there's that's kind of one of the only through lines that we've seen so far from the rest of the prior High Republic things.
Nice.
But yeah, also Mary Allen, who apparently that species is just getting focused on recently with Barra Sophie getting her due in Tales of the Empire.
Yeah.
Next up is a Luminara Unduli series, apparently. Then we're gonna stick with the Mary Allen theme, but
who knows? Who knows?
I don't know. This is, every time I think about it, I'm like, we're seeing Uncharted Star Wars.
Exactly. Yeah, it's Uncharted Star Wars. That's a great way to say it. And Leslie, I also saw something, a really quick thing. Leslie Headland confirmed this week that there are no familiar characters. They're all new characters. So we were speculating like, oh, Yoda might show up because he's super old, but unless she's saving it for a reveal or something, there aren't going to be any. Like it doesn't. It's completely removed from anything we've ever seen.
Right.
Which is why, like, I'm trying to not spoil stuff for my son because he hasn't seen everything yet. But you know, I mentioned we might be watching it together, and this is a show that we can watch because it's hundreds of years before anything else. So there's not like they can't really seed any of that plot stuff yet because so many of those characters aren't around.
Right, unless you're a weird sadist like me and read all the High Republic books and that, you're not going to know anything about what's coming up, and it's going to be glorious.
Anything. It's going to be. I hope that it's glorious. I'm very excited about it. It looks great.
We're at the height of the Jedi. Like the High Republic was literally the height of the Jedi.
Yeah. Yep.
Seems fine.
Yeah, I can't wait. A little bit more Star Wars. Kathleen Kennedy, I think it was in the same New York Times profile or story about the Acolyte. She gave a quote addressing toxicity in the Star Wars fandom. What?
Never heard of that being a thing.
Dare you call us toxic fans? That's a joke. I'm sure that's how a lot of people reacted to this quote. I'm sure that's how a lot of people reacted. And if you reacted that way, you're probably the problem.
I was going to say, look in the mirror.
Look in the mirror. New York Times said, this was a great quote from the article. A loud primordial part of the Star Wars fandom has pushed back in predictable fashion against the show, The Acolyte. And that was saying because it is, it stars women and it's got a very diverse cast and all the stuff that you hear from toxic idiots complaining about Star Wars and it being too woke or whatever, and Disney's ruining Star Wars and, just dummies, just a bunch of dummies. And so Kathleen Kennedy responded to this and said, my belief is that storytelling does need to be representative of all people. That's an easy decision for me. Operating within these giant franchises now with social media and the level of expectation, it's terrifying. I think Leslie Headland, had struggled a little bit with it. I think a lot of the women who step into Star Wars struggle with this a bit more because of the fan base being so male dominated. They sometimes get attacked in ways that can be quite personal. As a fan myself, I know how frustrating some Star Wars storytelling in the past has been. I felt it myself. I stand by my empathy for Star Wars fans, but I want to be clear. Anyone who engages in bigotry, racism, or hate speech, I don't consider a fan. And to that, I say, no notes.
Right.
No notes, Kathleen Kennedy. Nailed it.
Yeah.
What a great statement. Completely nailed it.
Now, that said, half of the fandom, the vocal half of the idiots online are probably all up in arms over whatever.
Oh, sure. Sure.
It boggles my mind.
Yeah. What boggles my mind is that they keep watching it.
Oh, yeah. Mike, we're talking about the same commentariat that I guess this would be the equivalent, of not understanding that the X-Men were allegories for racial tensions back in the 60s, or LGBTQ rights over the course, or that
any comics at all, comic books at all.
In general.
It was when do comic books get so political? It was like, well, Superman
same...
punched Hitler in the face in like 1939. So did Captain America. Like, shut up, man.
They became,
of course,
they became political the same time that Rage Against the Machine started, making their lyrics political.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
It's
Pull
insane.
your head out of your ass.
People not understanding that is just insane. But like, just stop making yourself miserable. But the thing is that they want to be miserable. They've made their entire personality being shitty about Star Wars to people online, specifically women. And she's right. Like, how many times we've heard women getting attacked when they get cast in Star Wars? Daisy Ridley, Kelly Marie Tran. I'm blanking on the actress's name, but the woman that played Reva in Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yep.
Yeah, and now Amanda Sternberg with The Acolyte. It's just so stupid.
It boggles my mind.
It boggles my mind. It boggles my
Especially
mind. Yo, you're the Empire. You are the Empire.
Right.
Right? And if the people that are saying that, look at the ranks of the Empire. What do they look like versus what the Rebels look like, or the Resistance, or whoever we're talking about? Like,
you're talking about a movie franchise where in 1977, not known as the height of like women being featured in major roles in movies and like pushing forward, Carrie Fisher was the biggest badass in the movie.
The best.
Like, what were you watching back then?
Yeah. Do you have a problem with Leia? Do you have a problem with her? Do you have a problem with Padme? Like,
right. You have the princess that literally took charge as soon as she got out of the cell.
As soon as she did,
and
realized
get the hell
these
into
guys
the garbage
don't know
chute.
what they're
Let's
doing.
Go.
Yeah. These guys are idiots. I'm in charge now.
Give me a blaster. All right, let's do this.
Yep. Someone's got to save our skins.
Stood up to Darth Vader.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately.
You can smell your foul stench anywhere.
That was Tarkin. Tarkin
yeah.
has the foul stench. Only Vader could be so bold.
Yes.
Tarkin has the foul stench. Anyway, again, very excited for the Acolyte. I wish people that don't like Star Wars shouldn't watch Star Wars. That's just the end of it.
Right.
And this is what Star Wars is now. If you're not on board, then get off board.
But that's the thing. This is what Star Wars was then.
Yeah, I know that.
Look at the Mos Eisley Cantina.
Yeah. I know that.
They may all be scum and villainy, but they're very inclusive scum and villainy.
That's true. Very. Yeah. Except for droids. We don't serve your kind here. Droids are a whole different thing. Apparently in Star Wars, it's okay to be racist towards droids. But.
Yeah. Actually, there's... Yeah, never mind. I was going to go down a rabbit hole. There's a couple of like comic stories that literally are like droid uprisings and
sure.
Oh yeah.
There's one in Solo, a droid uprising.
Oh yeah. Yep.
But that's like the thing, like they dance like right up to the line of confirming whether or not droids are sentient or if they are programmed. And then they just like, when they want to be able to make a joke about it, they do. When they want to be able to treat it seriously and have a droid uprising like in Solo, they do that too. But it's never like, are they sentient? If so, why are you programming 3PO to be so nervous all the time?
Right.
Like, can you adjust that? I don't know.
And R2 is still
why is R2 swearing all the time?
Right.
Whatever he says. Yeah.
He's also the hero of all the movies. So I still stand by this fact.
It's
not the Anakin Skywalker story. It is the R2-D2 story.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. Anything else we should say about Star Wars?
I'm sure we could continue to talk about it for way too long, but we don't have to.
I'm sure we could. We don't have to. There'll be plenty more time for Star Wars.
Next week, I'm sure we will. So
that's also true. That's also true. Moving into a miscellaneous category. Steve, I'm not sure if we've ever talked about this property.
We did.
We did?
Yes, because Kevin Smith did an animated show based
Kevin
on
Smith. Yep. Correct.
Rebooted it.
Correct. Now we're back, and the locations at the top of the show may have given you a hint, but we're talking about He-Man. because we
Masters
have
of the
one.
Universe.
We have a new He-Man has been cast. A guy named Nicholas Galitzine? Galitzine? Nicholas Galitzine.
Galitzine?
Or yeah, could be Zini. Galitzine. I don't know. I'm great with names though.
That is true.
He's a cast member of Amazon's The Idea of You. I think it's some like rom-com or something. I've heard of that. I haven't seen it. I don't know this guy. I haven't seen him in anything, but he has been cast as good old Prince Adam of Eternia, aka He-Man, in the live-action Masters of the Universe movie, which will also be produced by Amazon, directed by Travis Knight, with a release date, already a release date of June 5th, 2026. So we got some time. We'll be sitting around waiting on He-Man for a while. But we have one.
I was sitting around waiting for He-Man after I broke my foot when I was 3. After jumping off the couch pretending I was He-Man.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was a fun
wow.
one.
And that didn't turn you off from He-Man despite him being the cause of your broken foot?
No. By the power of Castle.
Power of Grayskull.
Power of the Grayskull, yeah.
You had the power. So I was going to ask, so you were a He-Man fan when you were a kid?
Oh yeah. I believe any good child of the 80s would have fallen in that category.
I agree. Yeah, especially I'm like if you were a masculine type person in the 80s, whatever, really, of your child, I should say. If you were a masculine presenting child in the 80s, you loved He-Man.
Yep.
I did. Now I do remember that we talked about this before because I've said the same thing. But He-Man is one of the things that I loved when I was a kid that didn't stick with me.
Not at all.
Like Star Wars and superheroes stayed in there somehow.
Well, there was actually a plot and a theme, and it wasn't literally taking. I think we talked about this last time, but did you ever watch the Toys That Made Us about He-Man?
No, but I know it was designed just to sell toys. Yeah,
it was literally like they grabbed like scraps of old toys and threw them together to make new
character. Yeah,
and it was like, and it worked.
They'd be on the show the next week.
Right,
toy would be in the shop the next week.
Yep, insane.
Yeah. That all being said about my love for He-Man kind of dissipating over the years, I recently was going through some old stuff because I have a bunch of old toys that I was gonna bring down to Funky Town at some point and see, if they want to buy them from me or take them from me because they'll do that. And I got to my He-Man stuff, and I had just like looking at them and holding them, I had such like nostalgia for them. I was like, I don't want to get rid of these things that I haven't touched in 30 years.
Oh yeah. I did that with
like, what? But I can't.
My mildly racist Leonardo in full Native American headdress.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
I was like, because it's actually worth a good bit of money, and I was like, oh, I could trade. Like I can distinctly like remember points of me playing with it as a kid, and I'm like, shit.
Yes, dude.
There goes that.
Same.
It's like I have no need for this, but my brain says I do. God damn it.
I know. So I left 2 of them out of the box. That is eventually going to make its way down to Funky Town, but just for old time's sake, He-Man. What do we think of a character called He-Man in a post-Me Too universe? Now I've said He-Man a couple times. It's really hit the genderness of that title's really kind of hit me. Is this a thing that we're just going to breeze over?
I feel like the counterpart is She-Ra. So
but it's not. Is there a woman? You know.
True. That'd be even more weird.
It'd be weirder.
I never. Wow.
It would be weird.
Yeah, now that you say that about He-Man, it's like,
right?
Wow.
It's just like shit. Right up front. Right up front.
Dude, that name had to have been like a last minute in the marketing meeting. Like, what do we call this guy? Oh God, He-Man.
What's the most masculine thing we can possibly think of? Man? Can't do man. That doesn't make sense. Him a man?
And this is 1982, He-Man. So you like,
yeah.
Oh God.
Wow.
Yeah. Mattel definitely did. They did a thing there.
Yeah, they sure did. Have you ever seen the original Masters of the Universe movie
with Dolph Lundgren?
Yeah,
I have not. I know of
Real
it.
bad.
I have never
it's
seen
really bad. It's insane.
I feel like you can say that about most things Dolph Lundgren was involved in.
True. I think I watched it with Riff Tracks commentary, actually, mentioning
Nice.
Riff Tracks or Mystery Science Theater earlier. I think that's the first time I saw it, and I just couldn't believe really how bad. I remember wanting to see that so bad when I was a kid. I was dying to see that movie. My parents wouldn't let me.
Frank Langella was in that?
He's actually pretty good. He's the best part of that movie. Skeletor, he's bringing it as Skeletor.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Still a very bad movie all around him, happening all around him. But
wow,
what are you gonna do?
That was Lundgren's first role.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Or maybe first major role. Huh.
They I either watched it with Riff Rax commentary or I watched it just so I could listen to the How Did This Get Made episode that they were going to talk. I watched it for like a comedy reason, I remember.
Okay, so he was Ivan Drago, and then
of course.
That was his first. Like he immediately that was his breakout because of being Drago.
Right.
Yeah, Masters of the Universe, Red Scorpion, the Punisher.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, there's some bad ones on here.
I'm sure.
Johnny Mnemonic. Ooh.
Before you get to all the Expendables movies, that I think he's in a lot of those.
Right, when they start making fun of the fact that he's an old washed up action star.
Yeah. Yep.
That sounds right. Fun.
From what I remember of the Masters of the Universe movie, besides Frank Langella being pretty good, is that it starts off in, Eternia, where you want it to start off in. And then almost immediately, He-Man gets sent through a portal, and then he's just in downtown LA for 90% of the movie. You're like, well, this is stupid. This is not why I come to a Masters of the Universe movie. But it's also one of the reasons that I think a new movie with a budget could be pretty good if they figure out a way to make it work.
Yeah.
Because it's its own weird land. You know what I mean? It's it could be it has the potential to be visually interesting, visually impressive, and visually unique. At the very least, the design of this movie could be unlike anything we've ever seen, because it's basically it's a sword and sandals thing, but with fantasy at the same time.
Yeah, there was a weird, even in the cartoon, there was I don't even know how to describe it. There was definitely some other. It wasn't just sword and sandals and sorcery. There was some other weird something going on.
It's a weird sci-fi element at the same time. It's space, but Lord of the Rings at the same time. Very strange.
Other thing I completely forgot was how ridiculous the rest of the names were.
They put no thought into any of the names. I'm sure He-Man probably got 30 seconds more consideration than what's this guy? He's covered in moss. Moss Man.
The soldier.
Man at Arms.
Man at Arms.
Yeah.
Evil Lynn.
Yeah. I know, man.
What are we doing, people?
This guy spins around. Let's call him Cyclone. Okay, great. But spell it weird. Yeah.
This one looks like a pig. What are we going to call him? Pig Boy. Okay, cool.
I did not know there was a Pig Boy.
Apparently, according to the cast list of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
Wow. Awesome.
This cat goes into battle. What are we going to call him?
Yeah.
Battle Cat. That sounds great.
Should Prince Adam put a mask on or something when he becomes He-Man? No, just same exact face.
Just take his clothes off, and then he's fine.
But is he smaller? Is he smaller when he's Prince Adam and he gets muscular like the Hulk? No, he's just still very muscular when he's Prince Adam.
He just has clothes on.
Shirt off. Yeah. Yep.
It's
so crazy.
It's like Superman's glasses except for clothes.
Why did he even need a secret identity?
I don't know.
Who cares? I don't get it. Someone who's a big He-Man fan, write in and let us know why Prince Adam needed a secret identity. Because it's not like he was I don't recall him, he wasn't working at the Daily Planet or something during the day.
Right.
He's living in it's not because no one else had a secret identity. Man at Arms didn't have an identity, right?
No, Cringer did.
They were all the same people.
Cringer and Battle Cat.
Yeah, Battle Cat. Yeah. So why does he need a secret identity? And I'm sorry if I'm
Man at Arms
saying something.
Apparently did.
Oh, he did.
He was
okay.
Duncan by day and Man-at-Arms at night.
Duncan by day.
Percado
Okay.
or Percado and Many Faces.
Oh, Manny Faces.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
Manny Faces.
She-Ra was Princess Adora.
Okay.
Huh.
Okay.
Mossman was Kriyanotnorosh.
Oh, so they did have secret. Okay. Okay.
Like
I
half,
didn't. I
it looks
didn't
like
remember
about half of them did.
I mean, like the villains didn't have secret identities. There's no reason for them to.
Skeletor was Prince Keldor.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Wow. Just proved
Beastman
me
was
wrong.
Rayquaza. And that's the sheer number of Q's that are in this is the hesitation there. Evil Lyn was Morgan Powers. Triclops,
it just seems
Merman,
like
Trapjaw, Cobra Khan.
Triclops.
Like there's some really wonderful names.
It just really seems like they should have all done away with the secret identities and just been like, yeah, we're just gonna be these people. Yeah.
This one's like a spider. What are we gonna call him? Shadow Weaver. Cool.
See, that doesn't make any sense. Web Weaver would be better.
Scorpia. King Hiss. Oh, this is the best.
The snake people? I had a couple of the snake people.
So the snake king's name is King Hiss. But
King Hiss.
his alternative name is King Hiss.
What's another S?
It's HSSSS instead of HISS. I shit you not.
That is amazing.
This is why we can't have nice things, Mike.
And no one will know the difference.
Nope, not at all.
I will change my name and no one will be able to tell. Hilarious.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. This is just impressive.
Wow. Well, Steve, I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Do you have a comic book to review?
Fisto is an extra strong warrior with a metal right hand.
I remember Fisto.
I remember Kit Fisto.
Not a Kit Fisto, just a regular old Fisto.
And yes, Mike, I do, but I don't know where the hell it is.
Steve lost his comic.
So, Jesse, if you're listening to this, I apologize. You gave me a comic. It sounded awesome, and I proceeded to, like, I was actually very excited about reading it, and then proceeded to completely misplace it because I grabbed it after I was in grabbing my pull. Usually it's on my pile of books, but it was not
anymore.
And it's somewhere around my house. I know I took it out of the shop.
It's there somewhere. It'll turn up.
You might have 2 reviews next week. It's fine.
It is fine. I'm reviewing a book from Oni Press by Alex Packnettle and Troy Little. I think I butchered that name. The name of the book is Cult of the Lamb. And this is something that I was very unsure of going in. It's I'm going to compare it to Dwellings in that the art style is very cutesy, but it's like high, crazy fantasy violence at the same time.
This is from it's not like of Dwellings, so
from the publisher of Dwellings, yeah. But whereas Dwellings is like full of dread and like horror elements, and it's set in a real world. This is set in a wild fantasy land with talking animals and things like that. Cult of the Lamb, the basic idea, you know, the phrase lambs to the slaughter or whatever, right?
Yeah.
There's some kind of cloaked, hooded, evil people that are sacrificing the last lamb, I guess, in a way to appease their gods or something. But they do so, and this last lamb wakes up and it's kind of like a Ghost Rider thing, where this last lamb wakes up in the afterlife of some kind, and there's a giant being talking to them saying, I will grant your wish for revenge as long as you start a cult in my honor when I return you to the world. So they agree, and they go back and they just start murdering all the people that sacrifice them, and then slowly starts to build to do the bidding of the god or whatever granted them this power, and build a cult. But it's like I said, it's very violent. I liked it so much more than I expected. I thought it was going to be strange and weird and not up my alley, but it very much was. There's a picture of the aforementioned violence for those watching.
Oh,
Someone
that's
getting their
killer.
head cut off. Yeah. Yeah, really cute character design, really cool. Uh, I would recommend it. I would highly recommend it. I think it's really great.
Oh shit, that's what the book was.
What's that? Do you remember where it was?
No, I found the title though.
Oh, what was the title?
Falling in Love on the Path to Hell.
Yes, that's what
and
it was. Yeah,
Jerry Duggan, his indie that he was putting out, and Gary Brown on the art.
Yeah, they showed me that book when they gave me this one.
Yeah,
and I was kind of jealous that I'm not reading that one because that title is amazing and the art looks awesome too.
Yeah. I mean, the cover is a samurai with a samurai looking woman with a random Western dude behind her, and then a skeletal full armor samurai behind him.
Yeah.
I was very excited and then failed miserably in my one task. I had one job, Mike. I had one job.
One. Lots of great style points going to that book right off the bat, I got to say.
Absolutely.
But yeah, if you like weird fantasy revenge tales that are told with cute animals, I would pick this up. And it's done in a way where it doesn't give you everything. You don't know why this lamb has been tasked to do this, to build this cult.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know the broader story, because there's definitely one going on. Why are they sacrificing the lambs in the first place? Why this other being want a cult devoted to them? Who's evil, who's not? Who knows? I don't know. They tease some stuff. It's really cool. Cult of the Lamb, Oni Press, #1. I think is it out now or is it coming out this week? I think it's coming out this week. I don't think it's actually out yet. It's an advanced copy I got. So check it out. Monkey Town Comics this weekend. Steve. I mean this week. I said this weekend, but I meant this week. Steve. You didn't read Falling in Love on the Path to Hell, but you did mention that you read a bunch of other books. Did you do some catching up on your 1,000 comics in 2024 goal?
Mike, I read 37 comics last week.
Whoa, 37 in a row?
Not in a row, like over the course of the week. I didn't just sit down on it.
That was a Clerks reference.
It's been a while. Yeah.
You said Kevin Smith earlier, 37. Yep. My girlfriend, 37.
Yep, I got you.
Anyway, you don't have to name all 37, but give us some highlights.
Finished off all of the Fall of the House of X stuff, or Fall of X.
All right. Yeah.
They brought that to a head. It was it was a ride.
All right.
I think they landed the plane. More excited for the takeoff in July.
Yeah, me too.
That just give me a Simone Uncanny book.
Man.
I'm pumped.
Very pumped for that.
Avengers Twilight finished off their 6-issue mini. I still really, really like that. Like Zdarsky was onto something with that.
Yeah, you said it was great the whole time.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's up for something this year. I don't know what, but like,
oh wow,
it was that good in my brain.
All right.
Where else? That's all X-Men stuff. More X-Men stuff. I got suckered into getting Helverine.
Oh, nice.
Not for any reason other than the fact that there was an absolutely killer Scotty Young cover.
There were some cool covers. I saw. Yeah.
I normally don't like Scotty Young covers, but every once in a while there's one that like just jumps at me. And this one was.
This was it.
It was too perfect. Weird book. Probably like I'd give it like an 8. But at the end, it's revealed who the Helverine is.
Oh.
And it makes sense based on what happened in Wolverine during Sabretooth War.
Okay.
So it lends some credence to, okay, this could be a fun little romp.
Nice.
Because it's not Logan, like as you can expect.
Yeah.
He is still alive. So
I guess I thought it was until you said that it revealed who it is. I assumed it was him with the Ghost Rider spirit or whatever in him, but I guess not.
So,
cool.
So that was where the original Helverine came from, and then he was somehow cured of the spirit of vengeance or something.
Okay. I mean,
I don't know.
You can't have it in him all the time. Got to do it something else. Yeah.
Phrasing. But yeah, I mean, for if you haven't read it yet, it's Daken. Akihiro.
Oh, cool.
So I was like, yeah, okay. I could see that, and I could see that being interesting.
Yeah,
I'm probably not going to continue with it unless they have more killer covers, but it was like it's definitely one I'll probably catch on Unlimited and see where it goes.
Yeah. Cool.
Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider.
Yeah.
Again, wasn't going to read it, and then there was a Jenny Frison cover that was just straight fire.
Yeah, hard to say no to that.
I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Actually, really good. Like on the better end of things that I've read this year. Like the better half.
Good.
Caught up on Creature from the Black Lagoon because 2 came out.
I have 2 sitting in a pile right over on the floor here.
I didn't realize it was only a 4-issue, too.
Yeah, I think it's a mini similar to the Dracula.
Yeah.
I think they're just doing like a bunch of like minis
for the monsters,
and then probably going to build out from there. Is my guess if they're successful. Yeah.
Caught up on Hulk. Read all the Free Comic Book Day stuff. Caught up on Energon, and caught up on Star Wars. Oh, also Batman Dark Age and Ultimate Black Panther.
Oh, dope.
So, and I think I'm
third. Did you get the third Batman Dark Age? Did you finish
I've not yet. I read the second one, and I'd assume I'll probably grab number 3.
I didn't realize 3 was out. But I did grab it when I saw it at Funky Town this past week.
Nice. I noticed it the day that I was running in to grab the comic that I lost.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I went in Wednesday night because we had baseball and we're driving past, and I was like, Sebastian, we're just gonna pop into the shop and I'll grab my pull and we'll go. Jesse had just taken off. Jeff was there looking for a book that Jesse had hidden. Long story. But Jesse had taken off 10 minutes prior, and then a dude came in looking for his book that Jesse had hidden to make sure it didn't get
no one else
lost.
touched it. Sure, yeah.
And,
that's funny.
Yeah, it was like there's a script for like a 90s sitcom here somewhere.
Yeah, that's funny.
But so Jesse wasn't there to give me the book, so I stopped in a couple days ago and grabbed the book that's somewhere in this house.
You'll find it
someday.
I believe in you.
That's one of us.
Someday.
That's one of us.
Cool. Well, this week in your local comic book store, you may find one of the following books or several of the following books. Amazing Spider-Man, number 51. Batman, number 148. Batman Scooby-Doo Mysteries, the new series, number 6. Birds of Prey, number 10. The Eisner Award-nominated Birds of Prey. Carnage, number 8. Cult of the Lamb. Just talked about it. Good book. Lots of fun. Coolness. Check it out. Get Fury, number 2. Ghost Rider, Final Vengeance, number 4. Gunslinger Spawn, number 32. I Hate Fairyland, number 15. Infernals, number 4. Kneel Before Zod, number 6. Lilo and Stitch, number 4. Mammoth, number 1. Ms. Marvel Mutant Menace, number 4. Poison Ivy, number 23. Savage Dragon, number 270. Shazam, Eisner-nominated book, Shazam. Number 12, Space Ghost, number 2. Star Wars, number 47. Star Wars The High Republic, number 8. The Boy Wonder, number 2. Ultimates, number 1. Vampirella Dark Reflections, number 1. Venom, 34. Wicked Tales, number 1. Wolverine Blood Hunt, number 1. And X-Men, 35. I love that I only have 3 books on my pull list, and they all come out the same week, all the time.
Is Great. One of them Batman and Scooby-Doo?
No, I have not been doing that lately. My son's been out of comics for a while. He hasn't really been into it too much as much as he used to. So
Sebastian is all in.
Yeah.
Like we're probably going to start pulling the My Friend Superman that's coming out this week too.
Oh, nice. That's right. Yeah. Is it an adaptation of the series, the HBO Max series, or is it like a?
I don't know, and I keep forgetting that there's the HBO Max series that I should probably.
I know. I gotta watch that too. I watched the first episode. I thought it was really good, and I never finished it.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Season 2, I think, just started.
Huh.
Or I don't know. Is about to? Maybe. I don't know.
There you go. So what are you pulling?
Birds of Prey, Poison Ivy, and I just added The Boy Wonder.
Gotcha.
So I just randomly picked up number 1. And it's really good. It's like a Damien focus. It's kind of like it's almost like a retelling of Damien's origin story.
Oh, okay.
In a way that focuses, like it seems like each issue is going to focus on Damien's relationship with another member of the Bat family, like focusing on his brothers being Dick and Jason. Like it was a lot of Dick and Barbara were in the first one a lot, and then Jason is more. Get the phrasing joke out of
Oh
his name.
no, I
Okay.
was in my head. I had heard you say that like completely differently. Of like, it's about him and his brother being a dick, and I'm like,
Oh, being
it doesn't seem right. Like,
oh yeah, and his brothers
like that's
being
very not.
yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
2 is supposed to be kind of Jason Todd focused, so
Right.
I'm
If it
excited
was
about
Jason being a dick, that's different. But
that.
like
Totally, and it
Dick
makes
being a
sense.
dick doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't at all. So I like in the Junie Ba is the artist and the writer.
Yeah.
I might be saying that wrong, but their style is very unique and like kind of like cute and cartoony almost,
Yeah.
but the story is really, really good. So
What did they just get a feature in too? Like I saw them pop up somewhere else.
they might have gotten an Eisner nod for something. You might have read the name.
Yeah, it might have been.
I don't really remember. But those are my 3 pulls right now, and they all come out the same week, so it's really easy for me. I just walk in and get handed all the books at the same time. What will you be pulling and or reading? You get in Ultimates #1, I assume.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You should probably pick that up too. Did you ever end up reading Ultimate Spider-Man 1?
I haven't yet. It's like the
Okay.
next book on my list. But yeah, you got me a copy of it, and I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, Ultimates. Blood Hunt was good enough that I almost want to see what Wolverine Blood Hunt would be.
You know what? I was thinking that too, just because I feel like they could do cool things with vampirism meets his healing powers.
Well, and he's had
like
a ton of like his solo books. He's had a ton of run-ins in history with Dracula.
Oh, okay.
So it like there's definitely they definitely know that they can explore that. So
yeah,
that gives me a little like maybe that'll be fun.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I like all of Blood Hunt is a lot of goddamn reading material.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot.
So
I do like surprisingly, I mean a year or 2 ago, DC did a series called DC Vampires.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a big brawling event. It was like just a series.
Right.
And I kind of like rolled my eyes like
right. You'd expect it to be like Marvel Zombies or whatever, where it's like, okay, cool. It's a thing.
But it was really good. Like I liked it a lot. It was fun. And so that kind of softened me on this Blood Hunt thing, even before I read the book we talked about last week that I actually really liked quite a bit. But I was kind of like ready for it. I was like, oh, I like the DC vampires thing, so maybe I'll be down for a Marvel vampires thing. It's just cool. I don't know. It's just like a different adversary for them, instead of like there's still like powers involved and stuff, but I don't know, the horror aspect, lends itself to a new thing.
Yeah.
So
no.
Are you reading are you still reading Kneel Before Zod? You were reading that for a while, right?
No, I picked up the first 2. The first one I thought was good. Second one was fine, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Just never
lost you.
It got lost in the X stuff.
Like, oh yeah, that's right.
It was one of those where I'm like, I'm pulling too much to.
Yeah.
It had promise though.
Yeah.
I still have never understood how like they can run a Carnage ongoing.
Me either, man. Me either. Unless like if it's an anthology, and every story is different, the only thread is Cletus or Carnage in some way.
Yeah.
Can make that happen.
It seems like such a thin character. But whatever.
I agree. But I'm sure Sony's working on a movie about him. I mean, they already 100%. Put him in a movie. I'm sure they're giving him his own solo spin-off film. Womp womp.
Yeah. But whatever.
That's all I got. I don't have anything else.
No, but when we said we were going to talk for an hour, we still talked for an hour.
We did? Okay, good. At least we hit an hour. So, yeah. I mean, thank you for listening. I think that's all we got. Like we said, it was a light week, so gonna wrap things up. But you should follow us on socials. I know I haven't been posting as much on social media recently because been 2 of the 3 bands that I'm in have had events and put out things, and I've been advertising those things. So it has sucked up my energy, but those things are over now. So hopefully I'll be able to get some more nerd content up on the old Instagram and maybe on the threads as well.
Fancy.
But yeah, other than that, Steve, where should people get a hold of us?
I'd say on all those socials, if you feel like checking us out, the Multiverse Report there. themultiverseport@gmail.com, themultiverseport.com. Beyond that, I don't know. Just find us somewhere.
Just where you want to find us.
Whatever.
Yeah, find us at Funky Town Comics.
Yeah.
And Vinyl. We're there quite a bit.
That is
and
true.
Until then, sorry, what?
I said that is true. Like if
that is true.
If it's a generic Wednesday, like there's probably there's a good chance you're gonna run into one of the two of us.
I feel like I'm more of a Thursday to Friday person. Sometimes it's Wednesday. Like this week, my polls are coming out. It might be Wednesday.
Right.
But I know.
See, I have a haircut every other Wednesday, so
wow, really
time it up to. I think it's like every third, but it's on the whatever it is. It's on the calendar, and I like go to get my haircut and then walk downstairs and get my comics, and then I go home.
Wow. Keeping all that grooming, keeping your grooming habits hot.
If I didn't, then my hair ends up like it was for a long time, and
That's
very,
true.
very long.
You were quite the shaggy dog for a while.
Yep.
I gotta say. I mean that in the highest of compliments.
Appreciate it.
No problem. And so, as the two suns set over the burnt bodies of Owen and Bruce Lars, we say thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the multiverse.